This medieval king might just be history's real-life Dr. Frankenstein. Frederick II, Holy Roman Emperor, was known both for his unquenchable thirst for knowledge and the shocking lengths he would go to satisfy his curiosity. The horrifying experiments he carried out on human beings in the early 1200s were recorded by a monk in a manuscript called The 12 Calamities of Emperor Frederick II. Today, we're looking at 3 of the freakiest human experiments from that report. Number 1. The digestion debate. Before modern medical technology came around, it wasn't easy to figure out what was going on inside the human body. Unless you were a ruthless king with some prisoners handy to help you test out your more gruesome methods. One day, Frederick II had 2 men pulled from the dungeon and fed them each identical, extravagant meals. Then he sent one of them off for a nice long nap, and sent the other on a long, strenuous hunt. Unbeknownst to the prisoners, Freddy wanted to learn about the effects of sleep versus exercise on the process of digestion, so they couldn't have known the horrible danger they were in when, a few hours later, he had both men brought back to his court and then disemboweled in front of him, comparing the contents of their stomachs to figure out which man had digested his food better. Turns out, it was the napping guy. Number 2. The visible soul experiment. If you're claustrophobic or have a fear of being buried alive, you might want to skip this one. Old King Freddy wanted to know if the human soul was actually visible leaving the body to head for the afterlife. To test this, he had a man sealed away in a wooden cask and deprived of food and water for days on end. The cask had just one tiny hole cut in the top, and the man was closely monitored up until the moment of his death, when they watched the hole closely to try to see his soul escaping. It's probably a good thing that they didn't, because I know if I was that man's soul, I would not be heading for the door. I would be sticking around to haunt those people for the rest of their lives. Number 3. The language deprivation experiment. Frederick was fascinated with the origins of human language. He thought that the language spoken by Adam and Eve in the Bible must be the, quote, natural language of human beings, the one they would speak if they weren't taught any other language. He had a hunch it was Hebrew, but just in case it turned out to be Greek or Arabic or Latin, he devised an experiment to find out once and for all. Frederick arranged to have several babies raised completely without the influence of human language. They were fed and bathed, but otherwise given no human interaction. No talking, no gestures, no touch. The emperor thought that once they began speaking, he would have his answer, but instead, within 3 years, all the babies had died. It turns out that social interaction, affection, and especially physical touch are critical to healthy development for human babies. But this was a revolutionary idea for the Middle Ages, and it wasn't considered seriously again until the 18th century. Meanwhile, poor Frederick never got to find out mankind's natural language.